Hello, this is Lady Boulay, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your comments, and thank you for your thumbs up. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. And yes, we are commanded to love one another, whether we want to or not, or whether we agree with each other or not. And today I'm talking about a very sensitive subject, but it's a subject that needs to be had. And that is that Black Americans never said we were better, because that's what we're getting now. These immigrants are making these toxic and hateful videos about Black Americans and all the things that they want to happen to us and what they want to do with us, none of them nice. And then the excuse they're giving is that we think we're better than they are. Well, let's talk about that right now. Black Americans never said we were better than anybody. What we did say, and what we've always said, is that we know who we are. And somehow that simple clarity turned into a whole accusation we never asked for. We are not lost Africans. We're not people who don't know who we are, or where our parents came from, or where our grandparents came from, or where our great grandparents came from. We know exactly where they are, buried under the ground, or still walking around, alive and well. We know who we are. For generations, Black Americans moved through this country assuming that shared Blackness meant shared respect. We assumed that if someone looked like us, they understood us, or at the very least, they didn't come preloaded with hostility. Now, we were wrong about that. As far as advocating for these immigrants coming to the United States, these Black immigrants, that's really who we were advocating for. We have come to understand now that that was a failed undertaking. And now we are doing course correction. That was a failed undertaking. We did not know those people. They were nothing like us. And we had to learn that the hard way. We have learned that now. And so now we're moving on. What blindsided us relative to these Black immigrants was discovering that some of them arrived in the United States already carrying negative narratives about us, narratives we didn't create, narratives we didn't even know existed. And suddenly we were being mocked for slavery, told we had no culture, told we didn't know where we came from, told our identity was somehow incomplete, all from people who had never met us and didn't know one thing about us. But according to them, they knew everything about us based on some stereotype or something some white person had told them, some white person who probably wouldn't even admit they told them that in the first place. But that's what we were hit with when they got here. So naturally, Black Americans did what any community would do when confronted with misinformation. We corrected the record. We started listing our actual accomplishments, the one rooted in documented history, not rumor, not something made up. We talked about our global cultural influence, our inventions and patents, our political movements, our music, our art, our advocacy, our athletic achievements, our role in shaping the legal, cultural, and civic landscape of the United States. These are all things that are rooted in facts, documented facts on any day, any hour of the day. We talked about things many people had never heard before, not because they weren't true, but because they were never taught. And instead of letting the facts sit, instead of saying, wow, I didn't know that, some people reacted emotionally. So then, when we started talking about our achievements and our accomplishments in the United States of America, 40 something million strong, versus 980 million of them in sub-Saharan Africa. And you can throw those in from the Caribbean for good measure, almost a billion of them. And we have accomplished more than all of them put together. So now what are we hearing? You think you're better. You're acting superior. You're being arrogant. But here's the truth. We weren't comparing our accomplishment with theirs. We weren't trying to win. We were just defending ourselves. We were responding to stereotypes we didn't create. We were correcting misinformation that we didn't spread. And we were clarifying a history that belongs to us. And when the truth didn't fit the story some of them arrived here with, they called it arrogance. You think you're superior. Well, the real issue is that this was never about superiority. This really was about identity shock. When someone has been taught a false narrative about you, the truth feels like an attack, even when you're simply stating facts. And that's all we've been doing, stating facts and correcting the record. Black Americans weren't trying to elevate ourselves above anybody. We were trying to reclaim the narrative about who we are, and we have every right to do that. People can't just come over here telling lies and throwing things around, comparing themselves to us with some language that nobody speaks except maybe 25 or 30 people in a village, or a culture that they can't even explain. And then when you tell them, this is our culture, this is what we've done, and this is what we're doing, instead of accepting that, they're going to get mad. So, what we're seeing now is that with the delineation movement and with us clarifying who we are and establishing our culture with documentation, they can't take it. So, how do they respond? With anger and name calling. That's how we got the whole dirty Black Americans from the Haitian woman. And then people have to pull up the receipts from her homeland because this is not her homeland. They don't even know how to be themselves. These anchor babies who've been here all their lives talking about Haiti or Nigeria or some other country, they don't even know how to be themselves. They don't even know what a Haitian in Haiti looks like, how a Haitian in Haiti sounds. So they're up there using our aesthetics, our language to talk about us. See, that is insane. That is insane. So if you wanted to just break it down the way the world breaks things down and compare us measure for measure, yeah, we do come out looking better. Having gone through slavery, Jim Crow, and all of the tributaries and atrocities that followed, and we have still managed to keep our heads up. We're still standing with our pride and dignity intact and more accomplishments than all of them put together. Yes, we come out looking better. We do. So let me say it plainly. Black Americans never said we were better. We said we are a distinct, established people with a documented history and a global cultural footprint. We said we won't shrink ourselves to fit somebody else's misunderstanding. We said we know who we are. And clarity is not arrogance. Pride is not superiority. Identity is not an attack, it's just the truth. And the truth stands whether people are ready for it or not. Our ancestors were not wrong to want more Black people to come to the United States. White people were coming from all over Europe and having no problem migrating here. So they wanted more Black people to come, not only for advocacy and for larger numbers, because the bigger the better, but also out of compassion, because everybody knew those countries were struggling and the people in those countries were poor. We've been hearing about children starving in Africa forever. So, yes, they thought they were doing the right thing. But we have to acknowledge it was a failed undertaking. The people did not appreciate it. And when they got here, instead of being partners or at least recognizing and being grateful, they came over here with a superior attitude with their noses in the air. So the right thing to do was to delineate, and that is what we have done. So we acknowledge that it was a failed undertaking, and from that, we just have to move on and we'll be okay because good intentions are worth something. I don't think we should have any hard feelings toward them at all. The best thing to do is just leave them alone, and that what's theirs is theirs and what's ours is ours. We don't owe them anything and they don't owe us anything. And that's the best way to move forward until further notice. Okay, thank you for listening. Let me know what you think about this video. Give me a thumbs up. Keep warm out there and have a great day.